sort of attempt to, the internet is trying to like make me private by not letting me talk to you guys. I don't know. It's very, very strange. But internet privacy is, of course, something that we're hearing a lot more about just because so much of our lives are online. And if it's social media or if it's internet banking, if it's records that are being kept by other companies about us, you know, that's the thing. All of our information, and I mean, I say all, and I mean, in some cases really is, depending on what services you're using and what information you're willing to give, and then what information that agencies or companies, corporations that collect your information are just using. It really is there. And even, you know, private stuff, maybe relationships or something like that, stuff that in years past has been more of a private sort of thing. Now, in many cases, it is available online information about that, where you go on a date or, you know, who you're married to or who you're dating. These are things that we are oftentimes giving free information for about ourselves. So we're putting a lot of information about ourselves, about our family members online. And it gets down to the question of, you know, where this privacy really is. Is there this privacy when we have our lives on the internet or not? So did you guys have a look at the reading material and the video material?
Yes, of course. A funny film, because for me, most part of it is a well-known technologies, and partially it's a rather old school thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but keeping private used to be sort of basic common sense, but nowadays, I mean, like, that's what you think. Things are a bit different because you've got young people that are maybe growing up without that sort of same common sense as generations past have had. So it's interesting. But Elia, what about you? Did you have a look at the reading material, video material?
You know, unfortunately, I haven't chance for that, but I will be listening very carefully because I'm sure that Denise will tell us many interesting things today.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, so let's start with the first question, which is kind of straightforward. And you can be honest or you can, you know, like hide it, but it doesn't matter. The first question is, how much do you use the internet? Elia, let's start with you. How much do you use the internet?
During last time, I used internet really much because I mentioned that I'm always with my mobile and I'm looking through that VK and Facebook because I'm leading two groups there. So and I should look through the messages there. So I should be always on touch, in touch. So that's why I use lots of internet now, but I don't know whether it is good or bad. I think
all right, whether it is good or bad, it is. That's kind of clear, right?
It is involving. Yes, really, it is very involving.
Okay. Yeah, very involved in this. It's part of our lives. Denise, what about you? How much do you use the internet?
Very much, because most part of my work is linked with internet. It's web applications or some spreaded systems. So I usually use internet to get access on some part of my work. I use internet to get the information and to studying something. Also use internet to communicate with my friends, even my teammates, my relatives, and so on. But I usually split such questions like using internet on two different things. It's using internet as some technology, common technology, and using social networks. Because there are many people who use internet mostly as a social, only as a social networks. And behaviors problems, it's rather different.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
now social networks trying to be internet at all, trying to disallow people to leave it.
Right. Yeah, no, but that's, I mean, like, that is, I mean, really kind of interesting thing, what exactly we use the internet for. And yeah, I mean, These are the sort of things we're talking about that I think a lot of people are evaluating their own sort of use. When it comes to the internet, I don't know. My internet is always on, you guys. I am always on. Even when I'm sleeping, I just kind of mute notifications, but they're still coming in. So the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning is notifications, like Elliot, your message. that was no, I was already up when I saw that. But anyway, like I was reading a book. Like that's how kind of, you know, an ebook, and I get a notification on my e-reader that yes, I've got a message from Elia and it's the chat, and okay, I'm like, all right, great. Like, but that's the thing. I mean, always online. That is absolutely what I am. It doesn't mean that I'm using social media. Well, yes, sometimes when I'm bored. But otherwise, it's just being used to communicate, get messages, do work, get work done. Like I say, you know, just find books to read. This is all the sort of things. But of course, I mean, my data is all there, I'm sure. And I don't know how interesting I am as a consumer client, because like I say, I'm just always kind of online more than doing anything else. But anyway, neither here nor there. In any case, it's really part of our lives. And I think that if you work in, well, for example, if you work in IT, you work in software, you work with computers, you're kind of connected to the internet by default. If you work remotely, which a lot of us, you know, do, that's also something that makes it possible, as we've discussed, you know, in prior conversation clubs and what have you. And it just allows us to do that networking that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. And for me, as someone who's international, who's, you know, traveling from point A to point B, who's living in one city or another city, it lets me keep in touch and keep on track of things. So yeah, I definitely use the internet probably more than I should, maybe, but then I say that from a standpoint of a different sort of expectation. But when I look at the reality of life as it is, this sort of international multi-time zone sort of existence, no, the internet makes perfect sense, and it facilitates that component of a modern life. Whereas say 20 years ago, I mean, even, I would say even, well, 10 years ago, no, 15 years ago, it was still, you know, like we didn't really have the mobile devices so much 15 years ago, but 10, yes, 10, we had these smart devices and we were able to kind of do that. But no, I mean, even 15 years ago, I wouldn't say I used it quite as much. Or when I used it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was more recreational in purpose. Like, so it really was wasting time. Whereas nowadays it's more like using. All right, next question we have is, do you think your privacy is secure? Denise, what do you think? You're using the internet. Do you think your privacy is secure?
In internet, privacy can be totally secure, because if anybody take a goal to get any more information, it's possible. Question is about only resources or time. So it's not possible to feel totally secure, but I have a set of rules to keep my information and keep myself as more secure as possible in network.
Yeah. Okay. Elia? Yeah. Elia, what about you? Do you think your privacy is secure?
No,
Online or otherwise?
I don't think so at all, because I think that there is no privacy, almost no privacy. If someone
All right.
wants to know something, he or she will
Yeah.
manage it for something.
I mean, I think that's the thing. We are, okay, maybe nowadays we are more aware of that vulnerability because of all this data, the digital data and our information that's online. I remember this was years ago. My gosh, it was probably close to 30 years ago when my dad was the victim of identity theft. And this was basically someone broke into his car in a parking lot, a parking structure, and stole his briefcase with documents with his name and his address and his like bank, you know, information and stuff like that. And it was really kind of a wake-up call as to how vulnerable we are. And it's that sort of thing that I've always kind of been aware of in the back of my head, that yeah, it can happen to anyone. Because I mean, never in a million years would my dad have thought that could have happened to him. But to me, it's always made me really kind of aware of doing things like not shredding documents, but I always rip up documents, you know, into little tiny pieces of paper and throw them away, or throw them away in different places. And it's just kind of like my way to do it. Just, I don't want people knowing. But then regardless of those steps you're taking, in the physical world. The thing is that the online world, we really don't have that same sort of control. So if you've entered your credit card number to make some sort of purchase online, sometimes it just stays in their system. Sometimes it gives you the option to delete it from your preferred payment methods, which is something that, okay, yeah, it's no longer on your screen, but is it still in their system somewhere? You don't really know. Your address, your phone number. I mean, I don't know how it is in Russia, but I remember as soon as you give your phone number away or something like that, you're getting all those text messages or emails, you're getting all those spam emails and stuff like that. And that's the sort of thing. I don't think that we are secure. I think there are a lot of things we can do to try to be secure, and those are methods that we should take, steps that we should take, but I don't think, there really is any guarantee about our privacy being secure. It's just the sort of consequence, one, of the modern world, this digital world, but two, of a long-standing trend of people who want to get a hold of our information for one reason or another. And that could be thieves, who are out to do something. It could be marketers. No, I mean, that's the sort of thing. They want to know what we like, because if they know what we like, they can sell us what they want to sell. So these are the sort of things. I think it's a false sort of notion to think that we are totally secure. But there are things we can do to, well, be a little more secure, not be quite as vulnerable. So let's come to the next question. What do you think the greatest threats to your privacy are online? Denise, what do you think are those biggest threats to online privacy?
It's not clear for me what kind of threats it is. So it's I'm not sure that using some behavior patterns on site for pushing to me better targeted advertise is a bad thing. It's some kind of breaking privacy, but it's not a bad thing. It's not something which we should afraid to. But on the other side, some common thing for me, social networks is one of the point of breaking privacy, because most of people can't clearly understand how to manage access to its information, to photos, how to share some information only to target category well. And placing all information, all photos, many behavior records at one place, it's a really threat for people, for own privacy. And another side, it's some strange thing, but government trying to break privacy, getting access to all communication systems, to all social network, and trying to block other which to data on which them has no access. And I'm afraid that if such kind of breaking privacy, it not be a problem to me itself, but it probably be more risk to doing business, to getting abroad customers, for example. So something like this.
No, that makes, it does. I mean, this is so much of that, and you got to think. I mean, it really does make you think about what exactly those greatest threats are. Elia, what do you think? What do you think the greatest threats to your privacy online are?
No, of course, when you understand that all information you put in internet is available, so you think whether you should do that or not. That's why I'm always think before I put my photos and put some information about my personal information. So I try to put some neutral information. Maybe it is too much, I don't know, too much here, but I know that it can be used, and I know that people use that, and not only just to do some bad things, but the more another people know about you, the more they can influence somehow. They can target the advertisement. So the less they know, the better for me, I think.
The more they know, the better
No,
for you.
the less they
Okay, the
know,
less
the
they
better.
know, the better for you. Yeah. I, there's just all of these things. I don't know, greatest threats. I'm trying to think about that too, and I'm thinking about it, and honestly, part of me, well, like my personal thing, is the sort of information that I choose to give, and that's why I look back and I used to put a lot of stuff on social media where I'd be traveling, where I'd be located, that sort of thing, pictures of friends, and we were all kind of okay with doing that. But now I really don't check in all the time. I don't put pictures of my family online unless they already have their own social media pages, which is, a big difference because they can be aware of what's out there of them, which I think is important. I don't particularly like my picture being taken if I'm in a group because I don't know if it's going to be online. And again, it's like it's the people I'm with. It's if I'm with my child, it's that sort of thing that I honestly I feel a bit. That's I think one of my things. So it's not really the threat to my privacy. It's the threat to privacy that of the person that I'm responsible for. And I don't know what it's like there in Samara or in Moscow, but I know that there are. That's the thing. I mean, social media is seen as a marketing tool, right? So if there's an event for children, if it's a gymnastics class or if it's I don't know some sort of a birthday party or something like that, chances are pictures are going to be taken and unless you've like told them specifically sometimes that you don't want your child to be online, they can just post those pictures without, and that's against the law. They can't do that. You have to ask permission for that, but it's done. And I think that's sort of my greatest, not so much threat, but definitely concern. And I think that is a legitimate concern. Of course, lots of parents post pictures of their children, and that's absolutely fine. It's their choice. Although there's like a debate about that. Is it really the choice of the parent? Is it the choice of the child? It's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, I'm gonna just be safe and say no pictures until he can decide for himself, like legitimately. But no, when it comes to privacy stuff, I mean that's the other thing too. Anytime I'm entering my credit card information. That's the thing. I only use one credit card, which has got extremely good fraud control. And like that's, I mean, part of the reason why I use it. It's because I don't really feel safe entering my debit card or something like that because I don't want my account to be wiped out. I want to do something where if there's a suspicious activity, I can call the credit card company and say, "Hey guys, look, this is not okay." And they say, "Oh yeah, ma'am, we're absolutely right. We'll look into that and usually resolve it." But that's really it. I mean, otherwise if Packers want to get my information, I really don't know what all interesting information there is about me. Nothing really. I mean, I think that's another sort of attitude that a lot of people have. I don't have anything to hide. And I mean, that's kind of one of those realities of things that, what can you do? But yeah, I think that's it. And then, you hear about all these hackers, and that's the thing, hackers can get into your information even if they're not looking for your information. But, all these different ways to get to other people or to bigger information, you could be like a side, what do you call it? What is that? What is that word? I can't think of it. My goodness, you guys, like I can't think of it. Like when you're off to the side, like collateral damage, I guess that's what it is. Yeah, collateral damage is the term you would use. Um, but I don't want to be collateral damage. But then, what can you do if there's someone who's got a lot more computing power than you do and is trying to get that? It's it's a really kind of tricky situation. But that gets us to our next question. What do you do to protect yourself? Or what do you do that you're thinking you're protecting yourself by doing? Elia, what about you? What do you do to protect yourself online with this privacy?
So first of all, I try not to put everywhere every my photos, especially with children. because I don't know. I'm afraid to put the photos of my children to the internet. I don't know why. I just my husband asked me not to do that, so I follow his advice. So I try not to put them. So there are some photos, but a little bit. Though at first, when I had a travel agency many years ago, I put lots of photos. But then I stopped doing that. And as for payment, usually I have a virtual account for some internet payments, and there is a certain amount for some purchases. So I think it's rather safe to have it. Or when I haven't time to create virtual account, so I pay with credit card because I know that credit cards it will be not only my trouble, it will be bank's trouble too, I think, but I'm not sure about that really.
Yeah, those seem like legitimate sort of precautions. Like I'm completely in agreement with you and your husband with the photos of children. But yeah, no, I mean having that virtual account, that sort of stuff, that seems good. Denise, what about you?
Oh, I trying to select something to do not spend a lot of time to describe what thing I do in any time. First, I usually try to use software which I know about and keep it updated and keep it correctly set it up. Use only fresh software on the operation system, on router, on phones, as fresh as possible. Next, I keep only very long passwords for all, and keep this password in other secured place as a backup if I forgot it. I try to don't use to share main information throughout social networks, and I try to use some specific tools. Like if I want to share photos with anybody, I will use Google Photos because I can share only specific photos or album and with only one person. So
Okay.
my mind is more safe. Next, long time I have had a special a bank card. It was a special virtual card with separate bank account, and I not keep any money at all, and only make fill it before doing some internet transactions. But last few years, I will use a simple bank card. Only set up limits and limit accounts from where transaction will be granted. So it's in some minimal set.
Right. So definitely like kind of filtering what you use. I mean, like that's an interesting approach. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Elia, what about you? What can you do to protect yourself online?
Oh, as I remember.
So I mentioned no.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So yeah. Sorry guys. All right. So next question. Well, no, I'll go like to protect myself online. What do I do? My goodness. So I try to change my passwords regularly. Oh, a big thing is that I don't use public Wi-Fi, which I know a lot of people do. But it's one of those things that I definitely don't feel comfortable doing, like at a cafe or public place. It's just, to me, I will get the extra data on my mobile phone and tether that way because, I mean, even that is no guarantee that it's secure totally, but I still feel more comfortable doing that than using those so-called free public Wi-Fi's because like nothing is free. You know, there's no such thing as a free lunch, guys. So that's one of the things. Otherwise, Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. But yeah, otherwise, that's the sort of thing that, yeah, my basic thing is really the Wi-Fi connections. That's what I'm more concerned about. Changing passwords regularly. And yeah, not putting that private information online. That's something that I think about. Next question. All right. Have you ever been hacked? Elia, have you ever been hacked? Maybe email, maybe bank, I don't know, anything.
No, fortunately not bank account, fortunately. So, but my account in Одноклассники was hacked because I haven't used it for a long time and maybe the password was weak. So afterwards, yes, I have also long passwords with lots of signs. Sometimes I forgot them, but still they are really unbelievably long. And so I stopped using that Одноклассники at all. So that was the last, maybe the only and the last thing. I don't know, but the last thing. Before there was something with my mailboxes, but now everything is okay. So the last unpleasant thing was with Одноклассники. I don't know, and some account was shared. Some information, not good information, was shared from my account. Yes, that was pity.
Yeah, it makes you feel so vulnerable. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's not a good feeling at all, at all. Okay, Denise, what about you? Have you ever been hacked?
No, wasn't. No one time I was hacked, but I few times helped. I helped few times to my friends or relatives in such situations. Uh, funny, near little bit more, 4 days ago, my mom's Skype was hacked, and there was a long briefing I tried to do to explain how it was doing and how it's possible to protect from such situation. Because usually people not understand well what mechanism provided by different platforms to avoid such situations or to take control of the account again.
Yeah, the Skype hack. That's a really common one. I don't know. I've had a lot of friends that have been hacked on Skype.
Funny thing that Skype has a very improved security system. There are special security management panel where you can reject any connection to account. And Skype provides very hard way to changing password from a new place. If you try to change password from notebook where you connected usually, it's okay. But try to make it from different computer in different country is really hard quest.
Yeah, I know. My mom has this problem. Yeah, no, it is. It is. And yet still it happens. And it happens. So it's like it's almost like it's maybe some sort of a challenge, for hackers. If it's harder to deal with, maybe we'll do it because it's harder. And it's some sort of, I don't know, sort of interest or some sort of like thrill they get from that.
Oh, hackers usually try in the simplest way. In Skype, it's in last 3 cases I meet where somewhere Skype account was hacked. Nobody trying to change password. Them only connects and trying to or spam thing or trying to ask money or something like this, but not to try change password. Because if you start trying changing password from a strange location, Skype start a very long verification procedure. So that work, but most of people don't understand that in such situation, it's a very simple way to reject hackers' connection from security panel, Skype on Skype side.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean it is, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yet it's still I still see all these things, like all these friends on Skype that will send links, and every time I see a link from someone I haven't talked to in years, I'm thinking, no, I'm not gonna click that, you know.
If anybody tries to send a link without any comments, don't click on that link.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good rule.
Yeah. All right, Elia, what about you? We already talked about that. We asked you first. Sorry. It's my turn. It's my turn. So I don't know. I'm like not really kind of keeping track of what's been said. I think because Denise is giving such long answers and Elia's answers are so like short. I think that's the reason why. Because anyway, but no, hacked. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think my Yahoo mail was hacked once, and I was sending out people messages that I wasn't aware of, and then my aunt said, "Hey," and then I don't know what I did. I think I just got rid of that Yahoo account altogether because it was just not worth it. Otherwise, no, not really. But I have a lot of friends who have been, especially messages, like you were mentioning, Denise, on the Skype. I mean, I've gotten messages on Kontakte, on Facebook, and that's always kind of the thing. Every time I see a message when someone's asking for money, what I do, like as a kind of like thing, I'm like, well, one, like, all right, you guys. You really think you're going to be asking me for money on Kontakte? I mean, so I'll go to Facebook and say, hey, like, hey, Vanya, how are you doing? Haven't talked to you in years. Is there a reason why you're asking me for money on Kontakte? It's like, oh, gosh, no, I've been hacked. Thank you for telling me. You know, it's like that sort of thing. So, like I say, a lot of friends I know have been. Maybe I have been too, but no one's told me. But I don't know, because I think that's the thing. You know, the people that I'm friends with, I mean, they're going to tell me if I'm sending weird stuff to them and that sort of thing. But in terms of information data digitally, you know, I mean, I haven't really, not that I know of have I been hacked. I had a kind of weird situation where I tried to deactivate my Facebook account years ago, and within a day of deactivating it, I was getting these notifications in my email that said that, like, asking me if I had authorized the reactivation of my account. And I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of weird because, you know, like, I deactivated it, but someone else is trying to reactivate it. And that's really not kind of good. So I decided to keep the Facebook account and just kind of use it less, but still better for me to have control over it than some sort of hacker who was maybe trying to get it. I don't know who was trying to get it, but it was very, very weird. But yeah, that's pretty much it. What do you know about, this is going to kind of switch things. What do you know about blockchain technology? Denise, what do you know? We'll start with you for this one.
It's not pretty new technology. I remember idea of blockchain. It was near 5 years ago. It appears on specific science articles. It's some tricky way to keep a small amount of information spread over a big amount of nodes, and with a rather simple way to verify is piece of information you get is correct. So it's very, very specific technology, and it's to me it's not clearly in such situation it is really useful, because using it it's some kind of internet currency. Yes, it's a good idea because it's not necessary to keep a big amount of information, only transactions. But trying use blockchain to keeping a big amount of information or as some kind of authentication system is a rather discussionable question. But I think in future it will be many different attempts how to use and in what situation it's possible to use it, and blockchain take place as a well-known and useful technology for some tasks.
Yeah, definitely. Elia, what about you? Do you know anything about this? Have you heard about it?
No, I have never heard about that, so I can't say anything about what is it. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a very good, yeah. I mean, Denise, you're definitely more in touch with these sort of technology things. I mean, I think that's kind of clear because that's where you're profession is and everything else. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a completely valid answer, because it is something that is really popping up a lot when it comes to a lot of different aspects of our lives. It's this sort of new technology, this new idea to basically make things transparent, make things clear, like you're saying, Denise, like having control over the data that's going there. It's that attempt to really kind of bring, I don't want to call it order, but like more, order, security, those sort of things to all of these digital components of our lives. And you've got a lot of companies a lot of startups that are trying to revolutionize the way all different kind of things are done, whether it's watching movies online or it's, I don't know, just doing basic investment, or even when it comes to data encryption. That's the basic thing, really, it's the encryption of data. It's how secure is the stuff that we are sending, because the connection speeds are here, the demand is here, the use is here, but how secure is all of this data transfer that we have going? And that's the sort of thing that, this technology can help to really kind of just standardize. Although there are all the other components of it too, who's going to benefit, how is it all going to be done? But you've got companies that are really looking at this as the future. And there are a lot of operations too in Russia, that's another sort of thing, which is interesting. And again, it's a matter of really kind of using these mathematical algorithms and just trying to kind of figure out where the future is and how that can be applied to basically just about everything in our lives in one way or another. It's kind of like, remember the .com era, when everything just needed to be online. That was the sign of success. It was .com. And now, it's a new era. And this era seems to be the blockchain era, when everything just has to be blockchain. Now, what that's going to do, I think it is going to revolutionize the way that we're doing all these things. What kind of lasting effect it's going to have, I don't know. Maybe in 5-10 years, blockchain is going to be just as common as .com, when it comes to all of these things. And hopefully, there will be a lot of solutions that are brought from this, because as we see, there's so much data that we are putting online, and our security is something that, we're always going to be a bit concerned about. So it's interesting. It really is an interesting evolution of everything.
Another one point about blockchain. I forgot about it. No, it's another point, because blockchain is a completely new ideas, and for most people not to understand clearly how it works and what is its good and bad sides. Because it's not a right thing that blockchain technology can be hacked at all. It can be hacked, but very tricky and specific way. And if you use that technology and don't understand its how it can be hacked, it's a not secure way.
Yeah, because exactly. And that gets us to our next,
People would understand how to work security in Facebook, for example. You have an email, you have a password in Facebook. Facebook can verify you again through phone numbers, but blockchain, it's a completely different way, with completely different vulnerabilities. Sorry, it's hard to me to pronounce.
Yeah, vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities.
Yes. I don't know.
Vulnerabilities.
I will train after call.
Vulnerabilities. Okay, vulnerabilities. It's a hard one. They're vulnerabilities. That's a 6-syllable word. That's kind of unusual in English. Yeah, it is. But anyway. But no, I mean, that gets us to our next question, Denise, and we can talk about that more. Do you think that this is going to make us safer, or is it going to unveil new threats? I mean, what do you think? I mean, you say it's not foolproof. There are ways to hack into it. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I missed this question.
Denise, are you a hacker? Are you thinking how to break into our blockchain? Like no, I'm just kidding.
When I was a student, I think about to become a hacker, but I choose another way. I think blockchain can make us safer, yes, but if it will be used in the right way. Because, for example, the most significant idea of blockchain is not keep all security mechanic at one place. The power of blockchain in its spreading over a big count of different computers, different nodes, different devices. But now there is many attempts to create blockchain-like technologies, but control it from one place. And it's this is what I think will be happen with blockchain idea. So such kind of broken blockchain, we control it from one place. It's even less secure than even Facebook, for example, because people can think that it's the same security level as a spread blockchain, but it's not. And about not new treats, I'm not sure that it invented a new treat. The most goal of treat the people. So using blockchain as some authentication or transaction proof system will not add a new treat, but better understanding how it works and how to keep safe, keep this information safe, can provide new treats, but it's only be in mind of people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's all these are things that we really have to think about, really, because I mean, Denise, you're really kind of aware of that sort of thing and the realities of it. And I think you can see the positive, but you can also see like maybe where it's just hype and all those other like again these vulnerabilities we're talking about. Okay, Elia, what about you? I mean, you don't really know so much about this, but it's still, I mean, it's something that I think is interesting to hear because that is part of it too. It's it's that voice of people. I mean, do you think that this technology is going to make us safer? Do you think it's going to maybe give us new threats? What do you think?
As far as I have understood what is it, I think it's not safer um because it can be how is to call that in English. So it seems to be safer, and that is more dangerous because people think that that is safer and trust maybe with some important things, but in reality it is not safer because I know that nowadays computers and that things that artificial intellect is much more cleverer than we can guess. So I think it is not
Yeah.
safe at all.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's just, again, I think that's an interesting sort of point to put. Is anything safe? There's so many things that we're trying to do to be safe, so many things that new technologies that are trying to catch up with all that we're using. But then you've also got these quantum computers that are basically able to go away, like they can do everything. So we can try, and it's good that we're trying because we just have to find the solutions. But I think it's kind of important to understand that there is no foolproof solution. I mean, there is always going to be some way to get something done. I mean, it's just it's not a matter of how or if, it's a matter of just when, because one way or another, just about everything can be cracked or hacked. Vulnerable. Everything is vulnerable in one way or another. Even the most secure things. If you got the human factor. That's something that I think we didn't talk about much yet, but that's a big thing. If someone is going to physically hand over a password to something, which happens sometimes, or someone who's working in a company is going to release that data. I mean, those are the sort of things that you can have all the technology in the world, but it's still in some cases not going to prevent that sort of thing from happening. But anyway, it's one of those things. But next question is a bit more basic. I mean, how strong are your passwords? Elia, let's start with you. Do you have strong passwords?
Yes, nowadays for important things, I have long, strong passwords. And if the things are not important, so I have simple passwords for them.
Yeah, yeah. Denise, what about you? I'm sure you're a real secure password kind of guy. You mentioned that. I'm guessing you've got like numbers and characters and like all different.
It depends on goals. So for I keep a few rather strong but rather short password for Google account, because it's possible that I will need an access from strange point and some strange way, and I will not have another authentications helpers. Also, I'll keep rather safe, simple password for my personal computer, but not for laptop. And I try to keep extremely safe password, more than 20 symbols with different registers, with special symbols, and really hard on other important place. And I have a small set of extremely simple passwords for different rubbish sites and additional emails for spam. Because sometimes it's hard to get access to some information without registration. And I keep a set of additional special emails and passwords for such cases. There is nothing personal except email.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. With these passwords, I mean, how secure? Yeah, it depends. Like you say, it depends. I mean, there's some stuff that is so silly that I don't care. It's got a basic password and I don't really care because, but maybe I should. I'm trying to think like maybe it is a bit too easy, really. But no, I mean, sometimes I like for banking stuff, they're really complex. For some emails, they're really complex. But like I say, for others, it's just if it's an email that I'm just using to get basic spam sort of messages, it's not a particularly secure password, although maybe they all should be, and they should be different. And I'm kind of guilty of having the same ones on some really silly ones, which is, yeah, not really safe. And if anyone's listening to this, they're gonna like maybe hack in. I don't know, but like I say, I mean, there's really nothing all that interesting to find in that sense. But this is, yeah, I mean, those are the thing. I mean, it really does come down to that. Such a basic thing that we can do, and I think it's something that a lot of us aren't very responsible for, because it's hard to remember all of those passwords. You know, it is. I mean, I know my parents have them written down on pieces of paper so they can remember. You know, they've got things listed. I'm like, what is this? And it's like, it's all these like numbers and letters, and I'm thinking, what is this? This is it. Those are my passwords. Don't touch it. You know, like, oh, geez, mom, geez, come on. I mean, like, if someone broke into your house and they go into your desk drawer, they're gonna see like this list of passwords right by your computer, which is also not password protected. You know, so it's like they can get into everything just looking at your search history. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's one of those things that I think we all kind of probably should be a little bit more aware of, and changing them too, which of course is also a hassle, because it's when you've memorized some, I don't know, 13-digit alphanumeric with character chain, you know, you've got to like find a new one. So anyway, but it's about security, and that really is something that we can do to help our privacy in that sense. All right, what about social media? Guys, are you all on social media? Denise, do you use social media?
Yes, of course. It's hard to be in touch with some people
without it.
Use only social media. Mostly I keep social medias to communicate with some of my friends and relatives, because it's hard to explain to some people why them should use more security or more useful way to communicate throughout internet. And also social media sometimes it's a good way to get a new information. Now some news appeared in Facebook even faster than in TV, of course, even faster than in some news sites. Also, we make definition more wider and use social media, also some messengers, of course. I use a lot of different messengers to communicate with my teammates and other people to solve different specific problems. So yes, of course, it's impossible to my mind you have an internet access and not to use social media at all nowadays.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. It's like you just can't really avoid it because you've got friends, you've got like messages from people at random times, you know, thing. It's like it's but no, that's the thing. Yeah, you've got to use it, but it's like you also have to kind of be safe. How much information do you willingly put on? Because they're tracking us, they're using it. There's no such thing as a free thing. We're using these so-called free messaging services or, you know, social media platforms, and all these things are gathering information about us in one way or another. So it's just a matter of really kind of keeping safe because, you know, we're using them. There's really no way around using them. And I mean, Ellie, you use them too, right? I mean, are you on a lot of these things?
Yes, I also use social media a lot because first of all, I live in province cities, so social media is very important for me just to know what my Moscow and St. Petersburg friends are doing. So what are you living with? Where are they going? What books are they reading? What are you discussing about? So it is very interesting for me. In past, I was connected with social media because of my work. But later, I think my husband pushed me to use social media. As far as I remember, I for a long time I haven't registered in Facebook. And first, the thing I used first Messenger than Facebook. But I know that usually people do vice versa. They first register in Facebook and only after some time they use messengers. And I think nowadays messengers, different messengers, especially Telegram, very popular. So just to communicate with in some special groups, it is very convenient, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. I mean, like, do you know what your privacy settings are, Elia? I mean, are you aware of all this? Do you monitor that? Do you think that you're safe? I mean, it's kind of on everything, on social media, on like.
No. We are living in Russia, so we should remember all the time that everything, every word, every picture can be used in some wrong way. So we can't be aware at all. And I think eh, maybe it is good because we've got that ex-USSR experience when we were all the time aware about everything, even aware about our telephone calls. Because as far as I remember, we never discussed some important things over the telephone.
Okay. Yeah. No. True. Denise, what about you? I mean, are you aware? I'm sure you are. You're aware of what your privacy settings are,
Yes,
right?
I'm usually checking all possible privacy settings to understand what instrument I have and how way I can make set up access to my data more flexible way to split different levels of access to friends or to relatives or to not so close friends and so on. In such way, I not like social networks much, because one of the main goals of social networks is to provide as much information about me as possible to keep much my friends and much people who interested in such kind of information in the site in Facebook, for example. So I usually try to not share much information throughout social networks and control access settings to other projects.
Yeah.
My mind
No,
is
I mean, that
blocked
is.
well.
Yeah, all of these things that are connected, and yeah, you notice that. I mean, it's just like this. All these what do you call it? Like when all those different things are connected, right? If you give one application the access to another application or other sort of things, like, you know, how vulnerable are you making yourself? Sometimes you're not even aware of what you're doing, or like your friends can do it for you if you have like that sort of sharing friend stuff, and so many things. Like, I don't know how you can be on top of it all. I really, really don't. But you guys, I think it was an interesting discussion that we had today, and I was wondering if you have any ideas for next week. As usual. Like,
One point. It's a pity, but I will skip two next meetings because I will go to vacation and will leave Moscow.
oh, okay. Well,
I'm not
that's
sure.
good. Have a nice vacation. But when will you be back?
I will be back at 22nd of May, so I hope I will join at 23. Probably
Okay.
I will not to spend much time to prepare, but I'll try to go through it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All
And
right.
about
So maybe
yes.
we should think about a topic for.
I have a possible topic, but it will be slightly extremely to take it at next meeting. I think we. I suggest to talk about artificial intelligence because there is
Artificial intelligence.
yes, it is many technology around us who were used such kind of simple artificial intelligence. For example, keyboard in smartphone used very simple artificial intelligence to understand what you use in common, what construction you use, and trying to suggest and correct what you type. And it's a very good questions and very good discussion points. What people think about such technologies.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
But probably Elia want to choose some more common topic to next questions, and we will discuss technical topic at after next, for example.
No, I agree with that topic. I will read some information and I promise to be more prepared for next time. By the way, yes, my children, they're going to be developers and programmers, so I know something about that.
Okay. All right. So let's plan on that. Let's plan on discussing artificial intelligence on the 23rd.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Meet you 23rd.
All right.
All right.
That's
Holiday, Denise. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Where are you gonna go?
Sorry?
Where are you gonna go on holiday?
To Prague. To Czechia.
To Prague. Oh, to Czech.
Yes,
to
to
Czech.
Prague.
Oh, that's great. To Prague. Great. That should be
Yes.
nice.
I'm sure it will be nice. I really
All right,
like such cities.
All right. Well, anyway, Denise, I hope you have a great time. And yeah, all right. See you guys then. Listen to you guys then. Thanks so much for joining. It's always great to talk. And take care, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.